What's up, everyone? Welcome to Phlox'em and this special sneak peek into the upcoming OP event, Keyforge, Certain Darkness. Certain Darkness is the new storyline event being put out by Ghost Galaxy. It's going to be running at local stores and local stores only, not online. It's not going to be at Vault Tours. It is just at your FLGSs. Running from September to the end of October. So it's going to be spanning just about 2 months here. Your local store should be getting these in very soon, if not already. This event runs with special darkness cards. This is going to be a new house that is getting introduced to the game, and they are going to replace cards in your deck. So very, very similar to what we saw with the Martian Civil War, but how it works, how these cards work, and how they replace cards in your deck will be definitely different and very flavorful, and I think it's going to be very fun. However, the stakes are very high because in this event, one house will disappear from the Crucible forever. So the storyline of this event is that the Logos researchers have discovered through their wormhole prying and ever searching deeper and deeper, they've discovered this force called the Darkness that seems to be consuming everything it touches. And so in this event, players will get to try to harness that power or repel it as they play one another for mastery over the Crucible. So you might be asking, starting here, what is the Darkness? Again, this is a new house we're going to be seeing, and it's going to enter into games a little bit different than we're used to in terms of how houses interact. I want to take a quick second here and remind you that this is going to be basically only spoilers from here out. So if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. But if you don't want spoilers, this is your time to hop off, and we'll see you on our next Phlox'em episode. But from here on out, we're just going to be taking a deep dive into what cards you can expect to see in the Darkness, how the mechanics are going to work, and what the rules of this event are going to be, and how these cards can play into that well or in tricky ways. So that's your warning. Let's press on. First off, we're going to actually take a look at 2 cards here, which are going to be common in every single pod that you get of Darkness. So when you get a Certain Darkness kit, each player again is going to get a pod of 12 cards, which are your Darkness cards. But each of those pods is going to be unique with some of them, but have several cards, and we'll talk about exactly how those work, that are going to be the same throughout all of them. And the first one of those is Seething Corruption. Very straightforward. This is just an action card with 1 Amber Pip. Fate, play, or scrap. So no matter what you do with this card, is it going to go off at least once? Purge a non-darkness card from your hand or discard pile. If you do, shuffle a random card from your void into your deck. We'll talk a little bit more about what the void is when we get into the rules, but basically that means you're shuffling another darkness card into your deck, and you can see you're going to be purging cards that are non-darkness. So as you play these, which again, every deck is going to have Seething Corruptions in it, as you play them, you're going to be replacing pieces of your deck with darkness. Again, that's going to kind of signify the darkness encroaching on the Crucible and these houses. Flavor text here, hear that? That is the sound of inevitability. Wonderful quote there. Just needs the Mr. Anderson and we are good to go. But you have to say it like him, right? That is the sound of inevitability. That's my best Agent Smith I can do. But again, you're going to have these in every deck, so be aware, be looking for those. Next one, Portal to Nowhere. This is an artifact. Again, every player is going to have one of these when they are playing this event. Omni, gain 1, so you can use this on any turn, and no matter what else happens, you're gaining an amber whenever you use this. Purge a friendly non-darkness creature from play. Shuffle a random card from your void into your deck. So this is looking very, very similar to our last card, the Seething Corruption, only this one is only targeting friendly creatures in play, whereas the other one you can hit a lot more variety of things. This is specifically sacrificing, so you are going to be losing some board presence when you do this, but for that immediate gain of getting an amber and getting a darkness card shuffled into your deck. So again, there's so much to think about just with these darkness cards getting shuffled in. If you're doing this early game or later game, there's a better chance of you seeing those darkness cards once they get shuffled in. But the more you can get them into your deck, the more you're going to have ammo to get more of them into your deck. So there's going to be some nice trade-off there, but there's also other implications of darkness entering your deck. So again, these two cards you're going to see in every darkness pod, but the rest of them are going to be randomized just in the Keyforge way. And let's take a look at just a few of what those cards might be that you can see in your darkness pod. First up, we have 1 power creature, Encroaching Darkness, with the trait of nothing. Very, very ominous trait here we see, but we also have Poor Flurp. I believe that was his name. Our little guy who went through the wormhole in Wild Wormhole all the way back in the Coda days. He's been traveling in and out of these for quite a while. And now the scientists have gone too far and sent him into the darkness, and he has come back possessed by the darkness and ready to, well, maybe exact some revenge. So he's got the play after Reap effect, gain 1 amber, so very similar to our artifact. No matter what you do with this card, if you play it or use it, you're going to gain that amber, or if you're reaping, it's an extra amber. Purge a friendly non-darkness creature or artifact. Shuffle a random card from your void into your deck. So similar to the artifact, but this is going to be able to also hit friendly artifacts. Has to be non-darkness. Again, that's going to be a theme of these. They don't like to purge one another, but they are trying to kind of just replace cards in your hand, and you're going to get another card from the void. Destroyed, return Encroaching Darkness to your hand. So this one is one of those ones that gets a combo player like really excited anytime you see those destroy and play effects. Get a lot of fun stuff, but this one returning to hand specifically means if you have multiple ways to kill it, or things like Seeker Needles or whatever, where you can kind of play it, destroy it, play it again, you're getting a lot more value out of this, and you're getting a lot more darkness cards into your deck very quickly. So very, very fun card. Again, the 1 power is really interesting. Could also backfire because your opponent can bounce this back into your hand as well. And if you're trying to cycle fast, this is going to slow you down. Although, like we said, well, we haven't said yet, but we'll talk about how these cards actually get played, because again, this is a new house and you're only going to start with a few of them to begin with. Next card, we have Mark of the Dark. This is a upgrade. You're going to see it as rare also at the bottom there, and it's got an amber pip on it, and this says this creature gains destroyed, purge this creature and each of its neighbors. For each creature purged this way, its owner shuffles a random card from their void into their deck. Lots of things to love about this card. One, the art harkens back to Mark of Dis, as well as the name. Mark of Dis was a mark on the hand of, I believe, this same Aquin. But this Aquin now has gone a step further and been, instead of possessed by Dis, possessed by the darkness, and now trying to find more followers for that. This upgrade, though, is very interesting because it's dual-sided. You can play this on your creatures if you're going to have a way to destroy them. That way you can kind of clean up more stuff from your deck, clean out more creatures maybe you don't want, and replace them with more darkness cards very quickly. This has the potential to purge and replace 3 cards. But just as a creature control card, this is also very good. You might only be able to fight one of your opponent's creatures, but if you put this on that creature first, you're going to be able to destroy it and purge both of its neighbors. So really, really strong card. Again, it's at rare there, but this is a card I love for the theme, but also once we talk about the rules, I love how this card is going to interact with that and sort of how the win conditions of this set will work, or this event. Lastly, I had to spoil this one. I am sure anyone else who's doing spoilers is going to be taking a look at this one because the art is just incredible. This is Crawling Chaos, a 9 power creature. Again, the trait of nothing, but this is just a Hydra waging war on the world. You can see kind of the darkness billowing out from behind it. It is going wild, fighting off all of these Logos or Star Alliance ships and bots and stuff, just decimating this town. It's amazing. I love this. Give me more Hydras and Keyforge. Play after fight, though. Capture 3 amber. Purge a non-darkness card from your hand or discard pile. Shuffle a random card from your void to your deck. So this is the first one of these cards that we've seen that is kind of doing something a little bit different. Instead of gaining amber, this has a much more defensive action of capturing 3. However, in keeping with the theme, it is still purging a card. This is from your hand or discard pile, so a lot more versatility there in terms of what you're purging. You're not removing your own board. and then you're shuffling another darkness card into your deck. But this is a big body, great play effect, and it can do after fight. It's going to be sticky, hard to remove, might combo with other cards from other houses that you're going to have in your deck, especially if you're playing PV, which really likes to move or remove captured amber. And then you're going to be getting those darkness cards shuffled in. So again, this is a rare, so not sure how much you're going to see this popping up, but very, very cool one. Very excited about it. All right, those are our spoilers for the day. Let's take a look at those one more time. Again, our first one here, Seething Corruption. This is just an action that's going to be purging something from your hand or discard pile, replacing it with darkness. Portal to Nowhere, purging something from your board and replacing it with darkness. Encouraging Darkness, gaining you amber, purging stuff from your board to replace with darkness, doing some extra combo bouncy stuff there too. Mark of the Dark, doing some creature control, gaining you some amber as well as getting you more darkness. And then Crawling Chaos, making the darkness continue even further, spread even further, capturing amber, and then purging something and replacing it with darkness. So you can see some themes here. One, all these cards are gaining you value outside of shuffling in the darkness cards and purging other things. So there's the just inherent amber generation or creature control or capture that we're seeing here. So all of these cards that we've seen so far kind of have some value just to be played, but they're also always doing the purging a non-darkness card and replacing it with darkness. So keep all of that in mind when we look at the rules of this event. As we said, this is a storyline event. It's going to be run sealed or sealed alliance. Your LGS is going to be able to decide how many decks to do, or your group as a whole can decide if they want to do single deck, or multiple deck sealed alliance. And when you start the event, you're going to get your pack or your booster or whatever you want to call it of 12 darkness cards. Each event pack that your LGS is going to get is enough for 6 players in one event. So if you have 12 players or whatever, you're going to want 2 of these packs. If you want to do multiple events, you're going to get more of those packs. I'm not sure. I think it might have said that only one event is actually going to count per LGS, but I'll need to double check that with the rules. So where this gets really interesting, where we start to see how this actually interacts, is in setup. So during setup, you're going to place both a purge pile and a void pile. And the way the rules describe it, it makes it sound like we're going to get maybe some cards to indicate those. If you didn't get one of the OP cards that came out earlier this year for your archives. Oh wait, those are for your archives. So similar to the ones you got for your archives, I think we're going to get a card representing the void pile and a card representing the purge pile, because in this, as we said, there's going to be a lot of stuff moving in and out of those piles. You want to make sure they are clear, separate, so that stuff isn't getting kind of shuffled in. Start of game, before you've shuffled up or anything, you're going to choose 3 cards from your deck and purge them. So right off the bat, you get to just take your 3 worst cards or 3 cards from one house. If your goal is to just purge one house and just ditch them right off the bat, you don't even have to worry about playing darkness cards to get rid of them. You are already making your deck more efficient here. But they're not just getting purged, they are getting replaced by 3 copies of Seething Corruption. So again, that action card we saw at the beginning, every darkness pack is going to come with 3 of those, and those are going to replace these 3 cards that were purged from your deck. Finally, you're going to place Portal to Nowhere, which is the artifact we saw, in play and ready before the game has started. So both players are going to have that ready to go, ready to start purging, ready to start gaining amber from the get-go. And again, that has Omni, so you're going to be able to use that every turn from the start. So things are going to move pretty fast here, if you can tell. Now, you're going to note that's 4 darkness cards we've talked about already. Each player is getting 12, so the remaining 8 are going to get shuffled and placed in your void pile. So again, we saw that all of those darkness cards were referring to taking a card from your void pile and shuffling it into your deck. So that's what you're doing here. This is your void pile, which is going to be 8 cards, which are going to get shuffled in your deck as you activate your other darkness cards. Your purge pile, of course, is going to increase with your non-darkness cards as is slowly replaced by the darkness. Now, important to note here, and this is why, again, making sure these two are very clear in which one's purge and which one is void, is that if you're playing PV or other sets that have cards that just purge, your darkness cards might still get purged. Something like Infernus can still take out some of these darkness cards. So those might also be entering the purge pile. So it's important to remember that your purge pile can have anything in it. The darkness cards themselves are always purging non-darkness cards. But yeah, just keep that in mind. Finally, how do darkness cards work? Because they are a house, they are a separate house in your deck. So that means at the start of the game, you have 3 cards in your deck, which are a different house than your other 3 houses. But all darkness cards can be played or used in any house. This means your deck is going to move a lot faster. So you're always going to have these ready to go anytime, no matter what house you're calling. You can play them, you can use them if you have the creatures on the board. We already saw the artifact has an Omni anyways, but even if it didn't, you'd be able to use it on any turn. And again, you're always replacing cards that have 1 house, or maybe 2 if you have a house pip. You're replacing cards that are house aligned with these darkness cards. So the more of these darkness cards you get into your deck, the faster your deck is going to move. It's going to be just playing more cards per turn. It's going to be gaining more amber. It's going to be controlling creatures. It's going to be controlling amber like we saw in some of those cards. This is going to speed up the game fast. But, and I love this but so much. It took me a minute to understand or to think through the implications of it. Beware. Along with the normal Keyforge win condition, if at any time a player is instructed to add another card from their void to their deck and can't, meaning there are no remaining cards in the void pile, they immediately lose the game. So this is where there is a risk reward to harnessing the power of the darkness. The more it consumes you, if it has consumed an entire house of your deck, or 12 cards representing, a third of your deck, you lose the game because you have fallen into the darkness. So that's where, again, something like the Mark card gets really interesting, because you might be able to trigger that for your opponent by purging some of theirs and trying to replace them with darkness cards. Certain cards, like the ones that are only purging creatures, you might want to make sure you have no creatures on the board before you play them, so that it doesn't purge any more of your cards and try to replace them with darkness. There's going to be a very tricky balance of getting the right amount of speed and usefulness out of these darkness cards without them just overtaking your deck and ruining everything. But as we saw, some of these effects can't be avoided. That corruption card especially is a fate, scrap, or play. So no matter what you do with it, unless your opponent randomly discards it on their turn, it is going to go off and replace at least 1 card in your deck, or at least 3, because you have 3 of them, with more darkness cards. So this is going to be a very, very interesting balance. I'm really excited to see what other cards are going to interact with this by kind of forcing your opponent to get more darkness cards, or maybe ways to shuffle darkness cards back into the void pile. I really don't know what we're going to see, but I am very excited. I think it adds a very cool element, having a separate win condition like this, kind of hopefully making these games pretty quick as well, but very, very fun as you're trying to balance stopping your opponent from forging while stopping yourself from getting consumed by the darkness. All of that, keep in mind, at the end of this event, as all of these stores are submitting their results of this event, the 1 house that is purged the most throughout this event will be eliminated from the Crucible, representing it getting completely overtaken by the darkness. So you might think I'm just trying to get rid of the cards that slow my deck down. But if that's from a house that you really like, you might be really changing some things for our upcoming sets after this, because after Draconic Measures, every set that comes out will not include whatever house gets purged here. It's going to be completely removed from the game forever. Maybe it'll come back as a darkness version. We don't know. But there are high stakes to this beyond just whether or not you win the sealed event. All right, folks, that is what I've got for this preview. Special thanks to Ghost Galaxy for getting us this preview material. It's really, really fun to get to be part of sharing this awesome event with you all. I'm very, very excited to play it. Let me know in the comments how you think this is going to play out. Anything that I might have missed or things you're excited about, definitely let me know. And then once these games start getting played, tell me what kind of craziness happened from these darkness cards. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. This has been Phlox'em, and we will see you next time. Take care, everybody.